Hey, Adam DuVander, EveryDeveloper, and today I'm going to look at a few of the company homepages from the research that we've done recently, and specifically, I was curious why some of them, almost half of them, don't have developers or documentation in their global navs. So I'm going to play a little game called Can I Find the Docs? And you're going to play along with me for these companies here. Starting with Vercel. Now, clearly, we've talked before about how this is definitely for developers. I mean, they put it right here. But if I'm looking for docs, I might actually go to start deploying. It wants me to sign in. I can look at templates. It's still not. Yeah, so now I'm finding the footer here, and I can go to documentation from there. So I found it. Could I have found it from the top? Features, yeah. I mean, maybe it's here in the API. That looks like that goes to docs. Yeah, that's specifically for the API. Otherwise, yeah, way down here at the bottom under documentation. All right. Here, and this little secret spot, I think that probably people will eventually get to that, but that's like a little trick. Oh, you got to go to the resources menu. And in fact, a lot of these examples all have resources menus as well. More than half of these that don't have developer or docs have resources. Always good to give the footer a little check too. That is not a developer page. And there we go. Hidden in this list of resources. At least right here, documentation gets top billing in the resources menu. And again here with Snowflake, we find developers. We also find documentation within there. All right. Chugga chugga, there it is. Documentation. Again, right there from that resources menu. Let's see if we could have found it down here too. Yep. Now, Postmark is interesting in that, boom, it's their secondary call to action here right on the home page. But if I wanted to find it elsewhere, there it is, under resources again. And down at the bottom, also under resources, API documentation. Okay. So far, I'm sensing a pattern here. Though I do wish we would see it along the top. Now, Postman, maybe developers aren't a primary audience. Maybe some of those people who might want it wouldn't want wouldn't look for developers up here, might not even want documentation. But if we see here under learning, as part of the resources, we get the docs. Mongo, this is one that I would have expected to have a developers or docs option here. And even here, documentation. Almost missed it because it was the heading to these sections. So documentation there, and then developer center, which is different, I guess, from the documentation. Though even there, you get to that same docs. That looks like that would be the same place if I had gone for this kind of hidden one here. Yep. Boom. Same. Linode. Okay. Don't think it's under marketplace or pricing. Community developer portal, I'm going to guess, is where I'm going to be able to find There we go. There's some API documentation. And now this being a cloud platform, maybe documentation isn't as important as developer place, but still would be good to get to. I mean, we don't necessarily want the API documentation. This is an API reference. We'd be looking more for, how do I get started? What are the things I can do? Which this does tell us on the developers page, but there is not a. This says there's documentation on here, API documentation. Here we go. Wonder where this one goes. /docs. I didn't find that link anywhere else. That was only in the footer, as far as I could tell. Wasn't in here at all. Interesting. All right, launch darkly. The resources menu again. I think that's going to be our place. Yes, indeed. And can we get there? Documentation down here under support in the footer as well. Does that go to the same place? Slightly different. It's the home versus, so the footer goes to the getting started, and the resources menu goes to docs home. GitLab. How about a resources again? That's right. I remember this from looking at their resources. They have this sort of whole section here, getting started, learn, but are there docs? Yes, within learn. So it takes a few clicks, but we get here to their docs. And how about let's check their footer. Definitely has that. Same site. Yes. GitHub now. Again, interesting, both GitLab and GitHub do not have developers or docs in the global nav. Might be because they know that that's their entire audience. That's one guess, but let's see if we can find our way to the GitHub docs here. Not under product. Oh, it is. It's sort of a secondary. You've got all the products, and then, oh, by the way, here are some docs off there from the products. Let's see if it's anywhere else. I mean, it doesn't really fit anywhere else. And here in the bottom under support, same site looks like. Gatsby, another one where the audience might all be developers, but also just it feels like that should be one of these here, and it is. So it's under open source for them. It just happened to hover over. So open source and then docs. Learn might also make sense, and learn it's not there even at all. And these are very product focused, which makes sense for a product menu. But yeah, open source and docs, that's where they have it there. How about in the footer? Oh, there we go. All the way there on the left, almost the first thing in the footer. Elastic. Yes, this is one of our resources ones, isn't it? Yep. Documentation. /guide is where their documentation is. How about their footer? Yep, and the same location. And lastly, DigitalOcean, another one where, happier devs, right? Everyone is a dev who's using DigitalOcean, but still not a reason to have it be tough to find docs. Oh, and look at that. That is not a global menu. That almost looks like and it is sort of an alert. But there we go. Right in sort of an upper nav, they have their docs. Let's see if it's in any of these menus as well. Community seems like a reasonable place. Documentation, though that isn't clickable, but you can get to sub docs within here. The quick start, and then things for individual products, and then their API reference. Anywhere else you think? Oh my. Lots of products. Yeah. And then looking down here on the bottom, do we find it under community here as well? I am not seeing it here. Oh, here we go, under products now. So here it was under community, though not directly linking to docs. And then products did not have it, that I could see quickly at least, but on the footer, it is under products. Here we go. Documentation. And takes you to that same docs dot. Well, I don't know if that is the same, because here these go below. Yeah, so they're not, it's not the same. It's the same subdomain, but the footer will get you straight to this page here. So as you can see, the find the docs game with sites that don't have docs or developers in their global nav is actually harder. In fact, the ones that have resources make it a little bit easier. So if you're not going to have developers or docs, even though I dread the resources menu, that is a much clearer place to find it than some of the places we found it hidden in this video. So thanks for playing. You can play on any of the 30 company homepages or any site you find.